Hey friends, welcome back to my channel and welcome to my garden. I am so glad that you are here. Welcome back if you've been here before. But if you are new, I would love for you to say hello in the comments and tell me what state or country you're coming in from so I can say hello back and give you a heartfelt welcome. My name is Barbara. I live in Tennessee in Zone 7B and I am passionate about growing food and inspiring other people to grow food. My gardening journey started 5 years ago, which is wild to me. But before that, y'all, I had never put my hands in dirt. So what you see today has been an evolution, a process, a journey, which is why I call this a gardener's journey homestead, because literally I am just turning on the camera and showing you my journey as I go through and learn all about gardening. I had never, ever put my hands in dirt until 5 years ago, April 2020, when I had my very first garden. I fell in love, unbeknownst to me that I would ever fall in love with gardening, but I fell in love and I've been growing food ever since. So if you're a part of that growing passion and gardening passion and you want to be in a community that feels safe, that feels encouraging, that feels inspiring, I would love for you to subscribe to this channel and rock along with us. But y'all, today I'm in the outside garden and I think our corn just may be ready. So I thought I would turn on the camera. I tested one, we're gonna test another, and if it's ready, we're gonna go ahead and pick our corn. So if you have not been following on the journey, this is actually our second succession of corn. This is all peaches and cream. We did a first succession of corn that we planted in the ground at the last week of April, and then we were able to harvest that like the 1st of June. We had beautiful, beautiful corn, and that corn is already gone. Now, one thing I've realized is that you got to plant a lot of corn in order to have corn to last you until the next summer. So we certainly did not meet that goal, but I had a notion of like, let me just see if I can grow some more corn again. And I looked at the days to maturity. I'm like, we have time. We have time. So this is the first time I've ever grown a second succession of corn. This is the first time I've been successful growing corn when we harvested back in June. I've learned a few things over the last 3 or 4 years in growing corn, and I think I felt like at the harvest in June, like I had finally got it. So I'm so excited because corn is like literally one of my favorite vegetables, and it's hard to find good, clean corn in the grocery store because most of it is GMO and it's just not organic. It doesn't, it doesn't taste right. It's not right. And so I very rarely, if not at all, buy corn. I buy like a couple of times a year because I can find it at Sprouts. They have an organic option and a non-GMO option. But y'all, the bag is like this small. It's like enough for me. So if I were trying to use it to feed my family, it just wouldn't be even cost effective to do that because the bag is so little. So hence me growing my own corn. You better believe that next year, I don't know if I can do the whole row because I've kind of taken over the rest of the row, but maybe we'll grow a whole 100 foot of corn next year. Right now, we did probably about, if I had to guess, maybe 25 feet of corn. We probably planted about somewhere between, I would say, 65 and 75 ears of corn. We have the corn in this landscape fabric here. And this fabric I buy from Farmer's Friend. It comes already pre-cut with the holes, and the spacing on this particular section in my garden, the holes are 6 inches apart. So it is perfect for corn, onions, garlic, lettuce, and things like that. The rest of my outside garden, the holes are 18 inches spaced apart, which is great for all of the rest of your vegetables. So let me show you the one that I already tested. So here is the one I already tested. I don't know if you can see, but she is pretty. And basically, I tested it just by pulling it back. It is pretty much pollinated. If it's pollinated up here, it's usually pollinated down there, usually. But then I just press it. And I don't know if you saw that. I don't even know if that camera caught that. But basically, a white milky substance kind of like just popped out. That means she's ready. That means she is ready. So let's see how many ears of corn we can get. I think the first time we harvested maybe 60 ears of corn, and we got 4, let me see. I want to say we got 4 half-gallon bags maybe. I don't remember. I have to go back to the video and see. But whatever it is we got, it's already gone. It's gone, eaten in somebody's stomach, mainly mine, okay? So let's just pull some more. Okay. Oh, the other thing that you want to look for is that you want to make sure that your silks have turned completely brown and that they're dry, not just brown and still look like they're not just that they're brown, but they need to be brown and dry, like almost brittle like. If you can see here, that is what it looks like, versus when it first starts turning from the whitish to brown, it's still going to look like fairly new and fresh, not moist, but moist. It's not going to be dry and brittle like this, but when it's dry and brittle like this, then you know you should be ready. So I'm just going to take it, twist a little bit, and we have our ear of corn. So let's peel this one, for lack of a better term, and let's just see. She looks good. I don't know if you can see because of the light. Hopefully you can. You can see that right there? Okay, let's just see. Yeah, okay. It split out that way. I don't know if you can see it. But when I pressed it, a white milky substance came out. Now, what happens is if you wait too long to harvest your corn, past that white milky stage, if it doesn't come out, that means that your corn is going to be a little bit tougher. It's not going to be sweet and tender. How do I know? Because I've done it for the last 4 years. This is the first time this year was that I got it right. So y'all, I think our corn is ready. So I'm going to go through and harvest all the ones that have the dark brown, dry, brittle tassels, and let's see how many we get. Okay, guys, I harvested all that I could. Let me see if I can lift this. Okay, here we go. You can see kind of how big the crate is, and it's pretty much full to the top. I lost count, but I have, I would say, probably a good 40 to 50 ears of corn. So what I noticed is that the middle didn't necessarily pollinate as much as the outer ends. Now, when I first did the corn back in the end of April, I only did essentially 2 rows. So they're 6 inches apart. It's hard for me to show you just because it's kind of all together, but I will try my best. So it's 6 inches apart, but there's 6 inches either way. So there's also kind of like a middle, kind of not diagonal, but from each direction diagonally, there is like a middle row. Well, this time I actually put corn in the middle row. So essentially it was like 3 rows, right? Kind of all going down together in a block. Now, I don't know if it just didn't pollinate because it's just different at the second part of the season, or if I needed an even number. That I don't know, because again, it didn't happen the first time. And again, mostly the things on the outer rows pollinated. The stuff in the middle was not as pollinated as the other. But for the most part, everything had something on it. There was probably, if I had to guess, maybe, I don't know, 6 to 8 that had nothing on it. And then there's probably maybe 4 or 5 more that have an ear of corn, but it's not complete yet. So this variety is peaches and corn. Another thing that I noticed compared to when I've grown corn or attempted to grow corn in the past, other varieties, that even with this and the last time, the peaches and cream is only putting on 1 ear of corn per stalk. Let me know if you've grown peaches and corn, if it does something different for you. Now, when I was growing corn before, I attempted to grow corn, I had different varieties, and it would have like two 2 to 3 ears of corn per stalk. So I don't know if that's a variety thing or what, I'm not sure. But let me kind of give you some of the things that I've learned over the years and why I feel like I was successful this time with my corn versus in years past. So when I had done it in years past, I did multiple varieties of corn. One of you viewers, or several of you viewers, told me, hey, you're not supposed to do that because it'll hurt the pollination, they'll cross-pollinate, but it actually decreases pollination and productivity, for lack of a better term. And so this is the first year that I only grew one variety of corn. Every other year I had multiple. I had a row of this, a row of this, and a row of that. Why? Because I didn't know any better. I didn't know what to do. Okay, so that's one thing, is that if you're going to grow corn, pick one variety. The second thing is, this is the first year where I had my corn 6 inches apart. Before, I had my corn in the 18-inch spacing, and I knew that you were supposed to do it in blocks. So for example, when you're doing corn, you don't want to just have one row of corn. You want to do it in blocks because they pollinate each other by the wind. And so it's better to have short blocks. So maybe you can have 3 or 4 rows of corn, and maybe it's only 5 holes deep versus, and so that would be, if you had 4, that'd be like 20 ears of corn versus 20 ears of corn on one row. Okay, so it needs to be kind of side by side in a block. And I was doing that, but the spacing was 18 inches. And so I noticed that this year when I put the corn up here where the spacing is closer together, I had better pollination because they were closer to each other. So that's definitely something that I learned. The other thing, on another tip, is timing is important. In years past, I would always come out and see my corn. I'm like, ooh, I think it's ready. Just like I saw it today. I'm like, ooh, I think it's ready. And then I would give it a few more days. Then I'm like, oh, let me give it a few more days. And what happened is, yes, I picked the corn, but by the time I got in the house and cooked it, it was tougher. It wasn't sweet. It wasn't tender. So that was another mistake that I made, is that when it's ready, you need to pull it. It's ready. Okay. Don't wait for it to get bigger, better, whatever the things may be. This is just my experience. So timing definitely matters. Also, another thing I've learned is timing matters once you harvest it and then you process it. So what you don't want to do is harvest it and then, like I said, process it, meaning the shucking, and whether you're going to freeze it, cook it right then. You don't want there to be days in between the harvest and then you're actually either using it or getting it processed for like the canner or the freezer or something like that. You don't want it to like sit on your counter for days and days and days. It is best, like as soon as you harvest it, ideally you would want to cook it because that's when it's going to taste the absolute best. Now, obviously, that's not practical for many of us. It's definitely not practical for me. But I try to process it within 24 hours of me picking the corn. So that's just the tips that I've learned over the years. And while I feel like this one has been more successful, I feel like these ears are not as big and thick as my first succession for whatever reason. And again, I don't know why that is. It's the same variety. But I have corn on it. So we're going to take it in the house, process it, see how much we have. And if it tastes good, we may not get as much as we want, but it's going to be more than what we absolutely have. But I would love, put your corn tips down below. Let me know what varieties you grow and any of your other tips so that I can learn as well as the other people in the community. Okay, so this is the very next day. And so now it's time to process the corn. Like I said, you want to try to do this as quick after harvesting as you can. I didn't have time last night, so I just did it the next day, but it hasn't even been 24 hours yet. So I have all my corn, I have a bag, and so basically I'm just what you would call shucking the corn. I'm taking off the covering, the silk, and all of that. This was relatively easy. I remember the corn that I grew last year. I don't remember the kind, but I remember that when I would take the covering or the silk off, there were still several pieces of silk. It took several iterations to get every last piece of silk off. This is relatively easy, and I found that it was easy the last time too. So I don't know if it's just this variety and how it grows, but you can see as I'm taking it off, most of it is all coming off. There may be a straggler silk here and there, but for the most part, it's relatively easy. So I have a bag where I'm collecting the corn husk and all that good stuff. And then I take a whole big, by the end of this process, I have literally a 13-gallon trash size bag of corn husks that I take to my compost bin Plus, at the end of the day, the cobs as well, we take to the compost bin, which is fantastic. So nothing's going to waste. It's just going to, recycle back into the earth. But I'm taking off the corn husk. And one thing that I noticed that I didn't have in the corn that I harvested in June is that there are a lot of worms. Which is not a bad thing. It just means that your corn is grown organically, which it is, right? So the stuff that they sell in the store, of course, is laden with pesticides. There's not going to be any worms that you find in that. And that tells you that, maybe we shouldn't be eating it if the worms themselves won't even eat the corn. And I'm not sure why this particular succession had a lot of worms when the first one didn't. It was grown in the same area, same space and all that. But I know that in the years past when I've grown corn, they've always had a lot of worms, right? So, but for whatever reason, the last succession didn't. But that's okay. We take all of the corn husk and stuff off. And then after this process, I actually take all of the corn that's on the cob and I put it in some water and let it soak in a fruit and vegetable wash solution for about 30 minutes just to make sure that everything is clean and ready to go. And so after I get done, I put it in the sink for about 30 minutes and let it sit while I was doing other things. And then I took off all of the corn out of the sink, made sure that I washed each one individually and separate, making sure that it was completely clean before I decided to shuck the corn with my tool. So I have a tool that I got from Pampered Chef, and that's what I use to take the corn off of the cob. And so it comes off relatively easy. It's I remember growing up, we did not have a fancy tool. We actually used a knife to kind of cut the cob off. But when you do use a knife, sometimes you cut more than just the corn. You're cutting like the actually meat of the corn on the cob. And I know that some people like to do that because they want to get every little piece, but that part doesn't taste the best. So I like this tool because it really just gets just the corn and it goes relatively fast. Okay guys, so I got all the corn shucked. That went relatively quickly. And then I put it in the sink with water and something to just make sure that it was completely clean. Now, one of the things that I noticed differently about this corn versus the corn that I picked back in June, this corn had a lot of worms, which again is not a bad thing. That's actually a good sign, right? That the worms want to eat the corn, because the corn you buy in the store, the worms ain't trying to eat that. That ought to tell you something. If the worms don't want it, then that means we probably shouldn't be eating it. But anytime you're growing organically, you're gonna tend to have worms and stuff like that in some of the food, especially corn is a high one, and then cauliflower. Sometimes you see a lot of worms and cabbages and things like that, which is completely fine. Just make sure that you clean it really, really well. So we did that. I cut it off the cob. I have like a little tool that I got from Pampered Chef. You can use a knife, whatever you have. And then I just laid it on a tray with parchment paper. So let me show you. This is what it looks like. So beautiful, looks good. So I got this much, which is like a half of a sheet pan. Yeah, is that right? A whole sheet pan. And then I got a half, let's see. This, so I got this and this much. And so I'm gonna actually put this in the freezer to flash freeze it. And then I will put it, either vacuum seal it, or put it in just like regular bags. So that way when you flash freeze it, then it won't clump up so much together. And basically flash freezing is just, I'm gonna put this in the freezer just like this. It's on parchment paper. I'm gonna let it freeze. And then once it's frozen, I'm gonna take it off the parchment paper and then either put it in a freezer bag or vacuum seal it. I probably won't vacuum seal it because I know that it's gonna get eaten in the next, literally probably 60 days. Now, if I had a ton of it, enough to last me until like next summer, I would definitely vacuum seal it. So that way it would just maintain freshness. But I'll just put this in one of my Stasher reusable bags. If you don't know about Stasher, let me get you one. Let me show you Stasher. If you've not been on a video of mine and I've talked about Stasher, let me show you. Okay, so Stasher is a type of reusable plastic bag. I love, love, love the Stasher brand. Now, can you use like old regular old Ziploc bags? You can, but the seal on this, and then the fact that this is reusable, so you can just wash this out. They come in all different colors, shapes, and sizes. This is like a sandwich bag size. This is like a half-gallon size. But look at the seal on this. Do you see the seal? And when I say it's durable, it's durable. So you have like the clear side right there so you can see what you have in there. And then that's like a more shaded side, for lack of a better term. But the seal is what I love. It seals so perfectly. And again, if you're trying to get away from single-use plastic and just buying a plastic and using it one time and throwing it away, Stasher is a great option. Now, disclaimer, Stasher ain't cheap, but you get what you pay for. So I've talked about this a few times before because people will ask me what kind of bags I use. Now, I do have some cheaper reusable bags, but when I say you get what you pay for, you get what you pay for. There's some that's linked in my Amazon shop that I use when I'm out of these, but I don't care for them as much. They will do, they'll do Matilla, they'll do until you can do better, right? Because the seal to me is not as strong, especially after you reuse it and wash it and wash it. The seal just does not stay as much as this one. Stasher, you can go to, I think it's stasher.com, Stasher, Stasher. And then they do sell some of these on Amazon. Now, like I said, it is not the cheapest. It is an investment, but I have been using these. This is the third year that I've used Stasher. The ones that I got the first year look just as good as this one. The seal is just as strong. I will have them forever and ever and ever and ever. Here is my strategy, and here's what I do, because I always tell you, if something's a game changer, it's a little pricey. Again, everybody's budget is different, but this is how I do it. Every year in August, they have a back to school sale. And so that is typically when I buy my Stasher bags. And so for the past 3 years, including this year, I set aside $100 and I buy what my $100 can get me, which is usually maybe 3 or 4 bags, depending on what size I get. Now, when I first started off, I kind of like got all the different sizes. Now I just primarily get the big sizes because that's what I want them for. Like I'm not taking a sandwich anywhere and really putting it, because I'm really not going anywhere where I'm going to need a sandwich bag that I want to take a sandwich in. Very rarely, but I'm always have produce and freezing it and putting it in my freezer. And so I want the bigger bags. So this year, I focused on more bigger bags than I did on the smaller ones. But because I've done this before, I have some of the smaller ones as well. So these work great. Now, if you have kids, like small kids who taking lunches and stuff to school, and you really want to get away from single-use plastics, this is a great option. Now, would I send this to school with a 4 or 5-year-old who may lose stuff and lose their lunchbox? Probably not. But with a 12 or 13-year-old that's responsible and they're going to come back with their lunchbox and their lunch thing and not throw it away, then absolutely. It is a great, great, great. I'm not affiliated with Stasher. But at Stasher, if you watching, if you want to send me a code, send me a code. I love the product that much. It is amazing. But you're going to have some sticker shock. So that is how I do it. I usually buy at the back to school sale, which is usually in August. So you've already missed it. It's probably over by now. And I have bought it during Amazon Prime days. So on Amazon, they'll carry, a couple of the sizes. They don't have like the whole suite. So that's why I like going to stasher.com. But if you're in the market for some really good sandwich bags or reusable plastic, I can't say enough good things. You're going to buy it once and you're not going to have to buy it again. Okay? All right. So I'm going to put this in the freezer. Let it freeze. And then I'll probably put it in one of these bags. So I think we ended up having like 45 ears of corn. You can see how much we got. So if I had to guess right now, that if I was to do this in thirds, a third, that's probably enough for a serving, right? For my husband and I. So I probably have, I would say 4 to 5 servings of corn. Like if I wanted to just eat some corn on the side, or a lot of times I will use it for like burrito bowls and things like that. I probably have a good, I would say 4 to 5 servings, which when I tell you that's going to be gone in less than 60 days, it might be gone in the month of September. So I don't know how much corn I got to grow in order for me to have corn that lasts me the entire year. Now, I thought about going to one of the local farmers and buying like a bulk of corn. They did have it, but I never could make it over there before the corn was out of season. So that didn't work. And I wasn't for sure that theirs was grown organically. So I had to research and check on that. But if I can find a farmer that grows organic corn, then I just may supplement. Now I think I still won't grow my own because clearly I can now. But I don't know that I can grow as much as I want with the space I have and not taking up more space. I don't know. But I am thankful. This is the first time we had a second succession of corn. So I am thankful and grateful for that. So y'all, those are my corn tips. This is how I process it when I bring it in the house. You saw me harvest it. If you have any questions about corn, put them down below. If you have tips, put them down below. And if you have not subscribed, what you even doing with yourself? Hit the subscribe button. Come and be a part of this community. You never know. The next time I may be in the kitchen, I may be in my garden, I may be in the hot tunnel, I may be in a store. You don't know where I'm going to be. So hit the subscribe button and find out and go on this journey with me. Y'all remember, it's all a journey. Let's grow together. I'll see you next time, friend.